Hello everyone and welcome back to Marking the Money, your trusted source for personal, practical finance advice. I'm Mark, and in this video we're going to be diving into a crucial topic for those of you that want to get a handle on your finances. And I'm going to show you how to create a budget that suits you. Before we jump into the how, let's briefly talk about the why. Having a budget is a cornerstone for financial success. It helps you gain control over your spending, save money, and make progress towards your future financial goals. Whether you're saving for a holiday, paying off debt, or planning for your retirement, a budget can help you towards those financial goals. If you don't proactively manage your finances, it's almost impossible for you to be in a really strong financial position in the future. That's why it's so important to create a budget and track your spending. The first step to creating a budget is to understand exactly how much money you have coming in each month. So that will be salary, any side hustles, if you get any benefits, or one-off payments such as bonuses or commissions. Then you need to take all of that, the net pay of that, so that means after any tax, national insurance and other deductions, and that is your round income figure or your total income figure for the month. Now let's move on to step 2. You need to figure out what you're spending your money on. So that's going to cover things like your housing, utilities, food, drink, eating out, running a car, all of those things, any subscriptions, memberships, food and toiletries, just things that you're spending money on a regular basis. You need to get all of those listed down, and then we'll see what your total income looks like versus your total expenditure. To keep things organized, you might find it easier to create categories. So you could have housing costs all as one category. So they're kind of non-negotiables, right? So you're going to have your rent or your mortgage. You're going to have maybe some sorts of building or contents insurance. You've got to pay utilities, telephone and internet, TV, that sort of stuff that doesn't change really from month to month. You could categorize under housing. And then you could have something like transport or travel costs if you're having to get the bus or run a car, or you regularly get Ubers, depending on where you are. Then you could put that into a bucket for like travel. And then you could have things like miscellaneous or gifts or saving towards future targets. Like you could be saving for a wedding, you could be saving for a new car, that sort of stuff. You can start to categorize those things. So you could have maybe household essential purchases, non-essential purchases, and kind of free money if you wanted to. Now for each of these categories, you need to set yourself a budget. So I would have a high level category, for example, housing, as we've touched on. Then I would under that I would have rent, and then I would have the value for rent. Likewise, I would do the same for buildings or contents insurance, for food and shopping, for utilities, for TV and all of that stuff. And then you can have like a subtotal for that particular category, and then you need to set and stick to the target. It's a lot easier for something like the housing costs because they tend to be fixed. But when you move into the more ad hoc spending, so you're eating out, grabbing a coffee here and there, you're going to have to start to be strict so that you can see exactly what money you're going to have left over each month. So you might have hair and makeup that you'd get done every 8 weeks or 6 weeks. So for things like gifts and birthdays, that sort of stuff, you might want to jot down everyone's birthdays for the year, approximate budget for each person throughout the year, and then add that total, and then maybe put money aside for that each month. Or you can take, based on when the actual birthday falls, that particular month could help pay for it. But I personally like to have it nice and even throughout the year. So a lot of my birthdays are towards the end of the year, so that means I allow myself then to put, say, £50 a month aside for gifts, and I allow that to build up throughout the year. And so when I get towards the end of the year, I've got that budget already there, and then you just have to be very strict with what you're spending. If some person's got £20 but a much closer friend has got more than that, then you just need to make sure that you're only spending the right amount, and try not to get drawn into buying an extra gift. Or if a group of friends are trying to get together and like, oh, everyone's going to put in £30 or £40, but your budget, you need to start to be open and honest. If you want to reach your targets, not get drawn into it and just say, I'm going to get my own gift, that sort of stuff. So to make the budgets really effective, you've set your limits. You then need to track exactly what you're spending each month. So that could be in a spreadsheet or a notebook, and you have your target figure for that particular month. And then if you keep your receipts, or if you bank with someone like Monzo, a lot of these online ones will now categorize your spending for you. If you're very proactive in that, or even once a month, just go through the transactions and make sure that they're in the right categories, then you can get a very high level of what you've spent, and then you can compare that to your budget. And then I would advise tracking that in a spreadsheet so that you can look back at it over time and see what sort of progress you've made. And just remember not to be too hard on yourself, right? You're setting out on this journey for the first time. You're going to get better with time, so don't beat yourself up about it. It's about adapting to a new way of managing your finances, and it's okay to make mistakes. Right? Nobody's perfect straight away. Hopefully you can now see the importance of creating a budget and how it can help you move towards financial freedom. And remember, budgeting is a skill that will improve with time. So like I said before, don't beat yourself up about it. If the first month you go over budget, or you haven't been able to save quite as much as you thought you would, or you start to dip into the pots for like birthdays and stuff like that, then you just need to really take a step back, have a strong look at what you're spending. Have honest words with yourself if you want to commit to this step towards better financial management. But remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to get it wrong. There's going to be months where things, crop up that you weren't expecting, and that's fine, right? Over time, you can get better and you can start to build an emergency fund or like a backup fund for this sort of stuff. And it takes a little while to grow some of these pots. So if you use a bank like Monzo, that's what I use, and you can have pots for pretty much everything. I think you have about 20 pots, so you can label them up. You can transfer your money as you get paid into all of these pots, and then as you spend money, you can transfer money back out to the pots onto your card and then make that transaction. And if, in fact, I think if you've got the premium version, you can just spend directly from the pots. But that level of granularity in terms of savings and having dedicated pots for dedicated purposes, it really, really helps me. You can, if you've just got a single savings account, for instance, you can just chuck several £100s in there each month and then just track what that several £100s is actually earmarked for. So it could be £50 a month of that could be going towards your car maintenance. £15 could be ready for some sort of like insurance renewal or something, and you just make sure that that is broken down. That's it for today's video. Hopefully you found it useful, able to create a budget for beginners. If you're new to financial management and you've got questions, then please leave them in the comment below. Equally, if you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with anyone who might find it useful. Thanks for watching, and remember, taking control of your finances starts with a budget and tracking your expenses. You will get there one step at a time. See you next time.